Welcome to the Conscious Experience. My name is Boris Kirchner. Today, I'm here with Mike Yap, and we are exploring a super popular topic, a super confused topic, and one that I think truly pertains to our lives. And we're talking about manifestation.
The law of attraction. Yes,
That's
this has
right.
become a very popular subject in the last decade, especially with the movie coming out and people talking about it more. Actually, before that, there's been gurus that have been talking about it, like Neville Goddard, since like a couple hundred years ago. And I'm sure before that we're unaware of. So,
Yeah. So it's been definitely prefaced by the entire like science of mind movement, Christian Science, like all of those uh, years in the 1900s where people were gathering for the purpose of learning how to use their mind to change and create experiences in their life. So absolutely, by no means is it new, but I definitely think that there was a powerful resurgence back in like 2006, if I'm not mistaken, with the movie The Secret. Is that right?
nice. Well, it's a good memory. I don't know. Yeah, that was a powerful movie. It was kind of woo woo, and there's been a lot of hate on it as well. And we can talk about that. But
Yeah.
let's start with what is manifestation exactly?
Yeah, it's a great question. Manifestation is essentially like the outpicturing the appearance of some particular event, person, object, experience in your life. And manifestation is happening all the time. It's happening right now. Um, Similarly to, how when you sleep in your dream state, you look over here, there's something there. You look over there, there's something. Very similarly also to how virtual reality works, right? Wherever you look, there is manifestation. There is something unfolding. And so very similarly, we have something like this here. And manifestation then, of course, can be conscious, intentional, or it can be by default, which is always happening.
Yeah, that's a good preface and letting our audience know that manifestation is happening all the time. It's not necessarily in the context that most people use it of as something trying to achieve something in the future. You have to realize that you are manifesting, and this is
Yes.
what you're manifesting. It's never really in the future, and we can talk about that. So how does it work exactly? Can you explain why we are experiencing what we're experiencing?
I can attempt. Um, we are experiencing what I'm going to use a model, right? What's called a quantum event. A quantum event is the collapsing of multiple different kinds of possibilities into one particular possibility. Now, this, of course, has also been exemplified quite extensively and to a very well done degree by the movie What the Bleep Do We Know?
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a 2 hour ringer. I tried to show it to my younger brother way back when, and it was tough to get through unless you are connected to it and you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is opening my eyes, because that's how I experienced it. But that's what we're basically saying there is that there is an infinite spectrum of possibilities of how things can unfold. And what the observer does, because this is the big discovery of quantum physics, the observer effect. And the observer effect has been found to actually change the outcomes of experiments. Famous experiment is the double slit experiment, which is talked about in the What the Bleep Do We Know, where they're shooting electrons through two slits, and when they are observing which slit it goes into, the electrons form the kind of pattern that you would expect as if you were shooting pellets through two slits. And of course, the pellets land behind the slits, so they make a slit pattern behind them on the wall. What happens if you don't observe it? This is very interesting, because so when they took away the measuring material, the technology, let's say, which is a camera at that point, then it was very curious what happened. It, instead of forming the two slits on the background, it formed a wave pattern. So it formed the kind of pattern that we would see if like a water wave was going to hit that wall of the two slits and then ricochet and then create these multiple spectrums. So there is this discovery that the observer, and what is the observer? We've talked about this in previous episodes. We talked about the witness consciousness, the observer consciousness. We talked about mindfulness, which is a way of cultivating that sense that, look, awareness is aware of whatever is unfolding here. It is unchanging. What is in front of it is changing. So when that awareness, when that observer is observing with intention, with an expectation to see something, it is influencing the very way that this infinite soup of quantum possibility collapses. So essentially, what we are doing when we are consciously manifesting is that we are training our awareness, our perception to see a particular kind of event. We are expecting it. We are coaxing it. We are just in the same way. Imagine now, well, you don't have to imagine. You can practice this in this moment. If we close our eyes, or if we leave them open, we say, hey, visualize a rose. Okay, so that's a rose. Now visualize a daisy. It doesn't have to be visualized, but picture however you would inside. Now you have a clear difference between a rose and a daisy. What is that? And where did that come from? So we're really tapping into that same field where in our imagination, things just crystallize out of that field when we expect to see them, when we are observing them. And similarly also in life. So this is, I would kind of preface a little bit like this conversation about, what is manifestation?
Nice. And yeah, that's proven science. I mean, the movie tried to do that using scientific techniques, and it's fascinating when you get in the quantum realms of what is actually happening. And it aligns very well with the tantric perspective of how Shiva, the absolute God, becomes duality. And so the infinite, through perception and multiple sense feelings and all the way to the gross, manifests his beloved out of his own love for wanting to see beauty, and collapses the entire infinite possibility down to one thing, whether that's looking at Boris through a webcam or whatever it is, or trying to manifest your future. So what are some common things that people try to manifest? I think one of the most searched for things was money, things like health, relationships, all the important things, right?
And manifest, another really common one is the SP. How to manifest your SP. If you're not like deep in the world of manifesting, then it's probably not a meme, but it is a big meme in the manifesting communities. SP stands for special person. You're manifesting your love partner, you're manifesting a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, and it's essentially called SP for short, your special person. And that is another, I would say, really, really big aspect, maybe more so for women, because again, the feminine is more oriented towards relationship, whereas the masculine is more oriented towards like freedom and creation, this other kind. So I would say that, to manifest the relationship is another really, really big one.
Mm-hmm. And make sure you guys check out our previous episode on prayer. I think a lot of this when we take manifestation and we don't recognize that it's happening right now, and we put it into the realms of something that we are looking for in the future, you can see what some of the drawbacks. And check out our full episode on prayer. It'll be very interesting. So let's talk about now, what are some of the best ways to manifest, as well as why people have trouble manifesting and like some of the blocks to manifestation.
This might be a good place to open to a model of kind of like the stages of manifesting, because at each different stage, it is entirely a different conversation. And what's applicable at one stage is completely not applicable at another one. Just to kind of explore this metaphor further, it's as if we have stages of like ice, water, and steam, and they are all water, but they're all H2O, but completely different rules. Like you can't walk on steam like you can walk on ice, etc. So it's really important to understand that depending on what level of consciousness we are manifesting from or we are living from, our way to engage it and our results and what it means to us will be completely different. So I would begin to maybe break it down like this. The 4 stages that I feel like apply to it the best are stages that I have first heard articulated by Michael Beckwith. And so he breaks it down like this. He says, okay, so the first stage is called to me. The first stage, to me what? Manifestations or experiences, life happens to me. What do you mean to me? To me means like I don't have any control over it. I walk in, the boss gets angry at me. That just happened to me. My husband, my wife leaves me or cheats on me. Oh, that's happening to me. I can't help it. That's really upsetting. The economy is this way. The world is this way. My health is this way. Everything at that level of consciousness is happening to me. It's coming from the outside in and affecting the way I feel, affecting my life, shaping me and creating me into what I am. So where is the responsibility? The responsibility is outside. The responsibility, we may say, oh God, why are you doing this? Or there is no God. There's just like my partner. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you making me this way? So this stage is typically referred to as victim consciousness, victimhood. Now, again, like it's not meant to be offensive. It just means that you are feeling victimized, which means powerless over the things that are happening to you in your life. Now, people, when they discover the law of attraction or manifestation techniques at this level, they start to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to start to make a difference. I'm going to manifest something. I'm going to change the way things work. But they manifest from a state of lack. They manifest from a state of fear. They manifest from a state of not having enough. And so very often they experience struggle in manifestation. They experience that it's still happening to them, that they are trying, but it's not, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is that our consciousness is going to be mirrored in anything and everything that we do. So if we have this sense overall, like our character is one that is victimized and we're victims of circumstances, but we're trying to come out of it, there's a little gap there that typically will continue to reflect to you that, no, you're victimized. And that is the perfect law working perfectly, because the true law of attraction is as within, so without. It's not as I want, so it happens to me. It's as I am, so the world is around me, and so it happens to me. I happen to me. That's what it is. So that's the first stage. And I want to just maybe pause here and check in. Like, does that make sense? And do you have anything else to add to this kind of like people who might be feeling like life is just happening to me? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, no, this is perfect. Continue on. I like the way you're approaching this. So let's keep the flow going, and then I'll talk about some different ways to look at this.
Okay. So there is like a belief shift that needs to happen. And what I would say at this level, forget about manifesting anything outside for now. Okay, you can, but the more important, and this is, I feel, overall, ubiquitously and universally more important, is to manifest inner qualities of character, dharmic qualities, sattvic qualities of our soul. Let's let what is within, and they are within, you're not trying to make them happen. Actually, the whole world is within. That's why you can manifest stuff. But let them out. Qualities like compassion, patience, responsibility, a sense of trust, honesty, like these different things. If you say, you know what is missing right now in my life? And you say, oh, money is missing, and health and happiness. And say, okay. So if I had those things, who would I have to be, or what would I feel? And then you start to identify a little bit of those characteristics. Well, confidence, courage, sense of like radical personal responsibility, at least for my emotions. By the way, check out our emotional intelligence podcast, because there we really went deep into what that means, is to have responsibility for your emotions. So to identify these, and then to say, okay, you know what? Let me apply the law to this. Let me see myself as somebody who's confident. Let me start to manifest my own inner qualities. Because as you do this, you will move to a state of consciousness, which would be called by me. Means life is happening by me, by my will, by my effort, by my expression, by my intention. And now we have moved from victim to like manifester stage, which is essentially that you feel like, okay, I do have some power. I'm no longer like this victimized, vulnerable thing that's at the whims of the world. No, I can build my own business. I can find the right partnership. I can find the contacts. And you start to really believe in our ability to figure things out. And then you start to say, okay, from here, how can I manifest? And then from here, you would start to say, okay, great. So now I know my inner qualities are going to be manifested. And there you can start to apply these techniques, because it's still a form of kind of lack, because you say, you know what, I don't see life as perfect. I think it needs to change. I think I should be somewhere other than I am. I think I should be different than I am. So you still have this sense of duality and opposition, but nonetheless, you are going to begin to experience a taste of, wow, if I can hold it in my mind, I can hold it in my hand. That's where all of those different science of mind, Ernest Holmes, all of those classical approaches, Florence Shin, right? All of those different things working with affirmation, visualization, feeling tone, and you begin to see your fruitage, and you'll say, oh, I'll get the parking spot. Oh, here's, I found $5 bill on the ground. I found, and different things start to confirm to you, yes, actually something is true about this. So that's stage 2. Anything you want to chime in on this, Mike?
I mean, that's essentially saying that you are the receptor, right? You are the radio station that needs to tune itself to those frequencies before you can manifest what you're actually looking for. And for a lot of people, that's hard, but we'll touch on that in a second. Yeah.
I love that analogy. Yeah. It's like we are attuning to a particular frequency that lets the song that we're looking for play. Okay. So then we have this. And then on this side, we're going to have this following stage, which is through me. Through me means I am no longer operating based on my own ego and my own sense of like, what do I want? What do I need? And it's all coming out of lack, because the ego is a fundamental state of lack. It is a state of separation, which means you lack access and connection and universal oneness and love and all of the things that you want to manifest. And you think that those things will come, those qualities will come from things that you manifest, but they don't. They're already within you. But as we move to the third stage, like, so the third stage is a graduation from the second stage. It's like you see that you do have power, but as you notice your own power, you start to wonder, what is the real source of that power? Is it my ego? Is it just this little body? Is that what it is? And we start to open up to this awareness of greater consciousness. Like, wait a second, what is this presence? What is universal intelligence? What is omniscience? What is like this quantum field? What is all this? And so we begin to we initiate the process of surrender, and we say, oh, I really want, no, hold on. Take a deep breath. What do you want from me? What wants to come through me in this moment? What wants to be felt? What wants to be expressed? What wants to be manifested? I would like the higher intelligence, my higher self, to direct me. I don't want anymore my ego to direct me in my wants and needs and all of this. What is the true? What would be the highest that could serve everybody and not just my own gratification? And then we start to flower in this stage of through me. We start to receive guidance. We start to feel a vision, and then we feel like it's ours, but it's beyond us. It's also something greater than ourselves. We feel this connection, and we start to graduate towards the last stage, which is as me. So now things manifest not through me, not by me, and not to me, but they start to actually go the other way. And we start to feel like it is happening as me, that I am the quantum field. I am that intelligence. Not in a way that we own it again with our ego, but it is that complete surrender. And now we don't have any direction at all. We don't direct manifestation. We don't ask for something. We are literally coming into this awareness of the perfection of life. And if you, perfection, want me to be a fish, I'll be a fish. If you want me to be rich, I'll be rich. If you want me to be on the streets talking to homeless people, that's what I'll do, because I am completely fulfilled, because I have all that I need. I recognize that all I need is within me now, not in the future. And what do I need then? If you feel so complete, all you have left is to give. And so you really become this embodiment of grace. And so that is the manifestation now happening as me, but it's not as the little me. It is as the universal consciousness. It is as you merged with source, expressing itself as compassion and love and grace and mercy. So those would be the 4 stages. And as you can see, like each one of them is completely different in the way we would talk about manifestation or approach the subject.
Amazing, beautiful. Let's go through some practical examples of what most people's thought patterns are so that maybe people can relate. Because, yeah, that's all great, but how do I actually practice this? How do I actually shift my thought patterns of what I am thinking around these subjects? And we can go through money, health, and relationships, which are the common ones. So, for example, somebody's trying to manifest money. They might be like, and they listen to you and they're like, okay, so I have to be that person. I just want to say one thing that really stuck with me around this, which was, you know how most people, when they're talking about manifestation, when they want to manifest business or money, a lot of times they'll hear the advice of act like you already have it. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, including myself in the past, I found that quite challenging. Even every single day, it's a practice as well. So if you want to be, let's say, a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever it is, how would that person breathe? How would that person move through their day? How would that person feel? And most importantly, how would that person act? So a common thought would be, I don't have the money, so how am I going to do this? Or I don't have this, so coming from that place of lack, so how am I supposed to act like a millionaire or a billionaire? And I just want to say one more thing around that before you jump in on the topic of money, where it's like, that might be a hard one to visualize. But Mike Tyson actually said something that I was like, okay, that completely makes sense. He said, if you are looking to manifest and be the champion of the world, let's say in boxing.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me close my Skype. He says, how are you going to be the champion how are you going to beat the champion unless you already are the champion? And so that was like, okay, that makes sense. There's no way you're going to beat the existing champion unless you first become the champion. So before you become champion, you have to be the champion. And so that how would you give anybody any advice when it comes to money? Say they're looking to gain some wealth.
Yeah. And I do think that this is applicable right across the board, money or otherwise. And here is the big shift. Like, this is how we come out of victimhood and we start to really feel empowered. It's this. We think we want a particular material form. Okay. We say, why do we want that? Why do you want $1 million or $10,000 or $100? Or to be a champion, or to have this kind of relationship? Why do you want it? Well, it's going to make me happy and I'll be able to do this. Okay, perfect. So if you got to do all of that, all is included that you're looking for, then what would that do for you? Well, I would feel, I feel complete. Like, I feel satisfied. I would feel at peace. I would feel like my life, I've made something of it. I would feel kind of like, yeah, like I could stop worrying about that part of my life. It would feel stable. Okay, awesome. So you want that feeling of stability and completion, right? So yeah, I do. Okay. And let's just do a quick check. Let's say that you got all that money, the relationship, and you're the champion. But let's say, if we're focusing on money, you got all that full amount and you are guaranteed to feel like crap when you get it. For the rest of your life, you will be depressed. Do you want it? No, I don't want it. Like, if I'm guaranteed to never be able to enjoy anything from then on, then why would I want it? Exactly. This is exactly the point. What we really want, this is the secret, so to speak, is we want the feeling. We want to feel a particular way. And we are assuming and projecting that feeling into a particular form. That form, I mean, experience, person, specific amount of money, a particular car, living somewhere. That's the form. The form is the manifest form. So what we realize in this thought experiment is that actually we don't want the form. We truly want the feeling. Because if the form were to come with a different feeling than we're expecting, we don't want that. But so we want the feeling. Where did the feeling come from? The form? No, it doesn't come from the form. Because I can give you different forms. I can't make you feel happy or sad. It's going to only be in resonance with your own inner compass, how you experience something. And I may give something to Mike and to you. Mike is going to be overjoyed. You're going to be like, what is this? I don't feel, So the shift happens, like we're saying, act as if, live in that reality, live in the end, all of this. What we're really saying is identify the feeling. What would the feeling be like if you had that? And now forget that and focus just on the feeling. Every experience that you could ever want has a corollary feeling to it. Every experience, being on the podcast, drinking water, going to the gym, everything has a particular feeling tone to it. And when we focus on that feeling tone, to the exclusion of other feeling tones, which means that for a moment, we kind of close our eyes to just stop distracting ourselves with seemingly what is. And we say, okay, what would the feeling be like if I already had that? And it bubbles up, right? It bubbles up. You start to feel it. Put your attention on the feeling like a meditation. Okay, yeah, here's the feeling. Here's the feeling. Breathe it, feel it, smile with it, amplify that feeling, and allow your mind to follow the feeling and show you the images that are correlated with it. Like you may see it's just a feeling. You may see dollars. You may see, so easy to pay off my bill. Oh, my dad's so proud of me. Or like different kinds of things like this, they will pop up. And just allow yourself to sunbathe in this inner radiance. And that will be probably the best way that you can act as if, because if you allow this, and we know also from science that the mind and body cannot tell a difference between a real experience, which is like our manifest experience right here, and an imagined experience that you feel after, that is a felt experience. They've done experiments even with people literally learning how to play piano, practicing a particular chord over and over again for a week, and another group that was visualizing practicing the chord. They were both freaking exemplary at doing that chord. Same thing, actually, even with changing the body, muscles, muscle mass, muscle strength. They had an experiment where they got the people to pull with their finger a string. Okay. One group was pulling for a few minutes a day, and the other group was just visualizing pulling the string. And then after a week or so, they checked the strength of the finger, and the group that was visualizing it had equal or better gains as the one who was doing it physically. So we know from this that consciousness is having some effect on the body, on the brain, on our structure. So think about this as an intercession. Here's your normal timeline. I am this kind of person, blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly, blank, leave it alone. I am no one, nowhere, no time, no name, no body, no location. I'm coming to zero. I am letting everything go. All that I know of my life, all of the known is now released. I'm allowing myself to be here, pure awareness, consciousness. Now, what would the feeling be like if I had that which I wanted? And it starts to bubble up. It starts to bubble up, and we start to allow our consciousness to follow it. And this is literally giving your body and brain and mind an experience that is outside of time, but yet inserted right here into your timeline. And this starts to glitch and mess with the matrix. It starts to already change because you just shown your brain that you had an experience that you actually didn't have in person. What does that mean? It means something. There were neuronal patterns firing, wiring. There was things changing. So this way, we literally begin to affect our body so that our body becomes like that one who has what we want. So we start to walk and talk and breathe like it, not like this bottom up trying to build it, although you can. It could be helpful to have those parameters, but by right of consciousness. I am conscious of being the one. I'm giving myself this virtual experience. And so I'm actually soaking it up. I'm actually observing it here in myself. Oh, then you're engaging the law. And so this is, I would say, the most practical way that I feel to observe new futures, new realities for ourselves.
I love what you're saying there. It's so important to basically reset and go back to baseline, was what you said, because most people try to manifest from a place that is already sending ripples out. And I think this is kind of one of the questions was, how do you overcome the blocks to manifestation? Most of us don't know how to reset back to baseline, which is why the power of meditation is very important. So they're constantly putting out these subconscious ripples into the universe of scarcity, of lack. And until you can move back to that space of the infinite that we spoke about at the beginning of this episode, it's going to be very hard, because you have to know it's the subtlest of the subtle. It's like this magic that happens. That where does it come from? It comes from consciousness. Where is that? We're still trying to figure where that is. So it's like this manifestation that comes out through this magic, which is again the subtlest of the subtlest, has to come from that place of baseline zero, not from a place of like. And this is why probably a lot of people had a lot of hate on the movie The Secret, and that they're like, oh, so you can just think of things. It's not quite that simple. You don't just sit on a couch and start to think of all the things that you want without understanding this baseline zero space, right? And it's not, again, that you're sitting on the couch thinking of these things. Most people thinking of these things from an already rippling out state, and then realizing that it's not coming to them. Well, the whole point is when you reset back to baseline, and then you ask yourself, again, the power of intention. I like what you said. It's like, why do you want the things you want? You can also work backwards. It's like, why do you want that? You'll soon realize that you want it for ultimate freedom. Any of these things you're looking for is to know that you are the one infinite creator that is ultimately free. And so when you realize that, you do the most important thing to overcome blocks to manifestation, which is you take action. You actually move through the world with this abundance, because through full abundance, what are you doing? Are you sitting on the couch? No, you're probably going out and enjoying your life in a new state of freedom, you know?
Yes.
So you can't just sit on the couch and attract money, health, and relationships through the power of thinking. It has to be real. And the true test is you'll know if it's real if you start moving through life and actually moving towards the things that you want.
Yes, like compelling action, and we feel like compelled by our new state, like the new state that we have developed on the couch. If it was true, if we truly made that contact, if we truly went to zero, let go, and said, now I am this person. You, consciousness, not you, the person. You, the person, cannot make itself a different person. But you, the consciousness, is just like choosing avatars in a video game. Okay. Oh, okay. Patience. I want more patience. Okay. Let it go. Let go of all of the past impressions of it. Say, okay, what would it be like if I had infinite patience? Oh, and you feel yourself moving through the world, through conversations, through, and as that precipitates into the body, you will be moved. And if you're not moved, just like what Mike is saying, then all you did was you kind of like sometimes call it like mindsturbate, which is like you're just like playing with yourself in your mind, but you're not actually producing results. You're not actually creating conception of something new. So yeah, I think it's really important you highlighted.
Yeah, which might not be a bad thing. A lot of people might need to sit on the couch for a little bit longer, and you'll truly know when you feel that state. Again, life is dynamic. Life is movement. This is the whole analogy of Tantra. It's like Shiva sits in a state of ultimate freedom for what? For all of eternity, until what? Until he wants and realizes his own nature. And then he realizes, let's create, let's go do something. Let's move from this state of fullness and manifest. And yeah, you can take your time, but just know that there are different levels to this, and sitting on the couch for all of eternity is something that only probably Shiva should be doing, and not you wasting your life. Do you want to talk about some of the things, maybe practical things that you've experienced in your life that maybe you've manifested using this law of attraction? How did it come to you? What are some things you noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my most like exemplary experience of this is in relationship. Yeah, I remember like, and I know that for myself growing up and moving through relationships, like the sense of wanting somebody with whom I could evolve spiritually, with whom I could like create and build and have this sense of expansion. It was so alive in me always. And so what I started to do at a certain point, like I thought I knew who that was, right? I invited this woman into, hey, I would like to do this. Do you want to, travel with me, move in with me, to do this kind of thing with me? And she's like, no, I'm busy for that. I know that doesn't feel good. I'm like, is that really our person? Probably not. I don't think that this is it, And as soon as I said that, I was feeling, of course, heartbreak and sad and feeling like, okay. And I said, okay, no, something else. So what I started to do is as I would drive, I had 2 touch points: driving, 3, working and sleeping. So when I was driving, I would imagine that next to me is my partner. And like, I would not necessarily talk to her, or, but I would sense a sense of presence. I would be like, I'm driving here with you. Yeah. Similarly with sleep, I would fall asleep and I would feel and sense like, oh, there's somebody next to me. There's somebody sleeping next to me. And I love her. It's so beautiful. I'm going to sleep. And lastly is when I would work and I would be at my computer, I would imagine that she's in the other room. I would imagine that she's there, she's doing her own thing, or she's making something for us, And this was it wasn't a regimented practice. It was like a very lighthearted experience, very like playful experience of like essentially working with a space of like, I know that you're here with me, like I know, like, so I was living and acting as if my soulmate was with me. And then came this experience where I was going to go to a personal development event in Long Beach, California. And I'm like, I had the sense that like, I'm going to be at this event with this person. I was imagining this and feeling that way. And so I'm like, who's this person going to be? And I started to like, think about who could I invite to go with me on this trip. And so I'm like, okay. And at first I invited one girl and she's like, yeah, no, I don't think I can do it. It's really, and then I tried another one and then I tried another one. So there's like 3 potential, like, yeah, dates that I was like, yeah, we're going to go on this experience. It's going to be a cool bonding experience. Like maybe we'll find that spark. They all said no. So I invited Sunny, our mutual
You
friend.
went with a guy.
I'm like, okay,
Plan B.
screw this idea. This idea obviously is not going to work. It's not the one. Fine. Let's just have a bro trip, and I let go. I accidentally let go also, which is a part of this manifestation process. I was like, okay, not right now. I'm just going to enjoy this trip. And so when I was there at the event, I saw a woman and she saw me and we were walking past each other in the hallway. And I'm like, oh, it's cute. I like that. And, yeah. And then from there on, like, it's just like our love story unfolding. Like, it was really beautiful. Everyone at the event knew that we're falling in love. Like, we had this, like, all the sparkle vibes and everything. I remember my first, like, contact with her was, like, I saw her walk out during the lunch break, or it was just a break in between. And she was on the phone. So I take my phone. I pretend to call my dad. Well, I actually do call my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm here. Everything's going great. I keep looking at her, what she's doing. She's like, oh, okay, sorry, I got to go. And then, as soon as she got off the phone, I started the conversation. And now she's my wife. And we've been together this month, 7 years. So it's that was a really powerful thing that has many different aspects of manifestation to it. So first of all, like me trying to make it a certain way, me letting go, me also like being open, and also doing all of that prep work of really feeling like, no, I am with my partner. I am with my soulmate. She's here with me. So I would say that for me, that's probably the most like stark one and the most conscious one out of all of my kind of exploration with this.
Beautiful.
I'd love to hear yours too.
Yeah, and there's so many nuances in there that you said, and manifestation is typically not a clear, direct path. It's not as easy as we're laying it out to be, which is why you experience all these different learnings throughout the process. It's probably because a lot of the times, like we said, we're already rippling out past samskaras or past thought patterns. So, yeah, very interesting. So two stand out for me in the realms of money and also I call it relationship, but it was more so to do with beauty. So the money one was when I was 19 years old. And I just want to preface this by reminding our audience, back to the question of what are some of the best ways to manifest what you want. Let's break it down into four things. So the power of intention, the role of feelings, the importance of feeling gratitude, and then maybe some visualization techniques in there. So I'll try to relate these. So the power of intention, when I was 19 years old, I wrote down, I was pretty good with money. I was working at a corporate job. I was like, I want to be a millionaire before I'm 30 years old. And so I started creating these spreadsheets similar to you. It's like I was creating spreadsheets using formulas. I was like, if I save this much, blah, blah, blah. And with the problem with trying is that you're already rippling out past some scaras of lack. Right. So
Yes.
no matter how many spreadsheet numbers I changed, it just never added up to a million. So I was like, okay, whatever. I just wrote it down, become a millionaire before I was 30. Now, something interesting. So we moved to the role of feelings. And this is where life kind of takes a turn, and it might take you in a different aspect of your life where when we're talking about feelings, we're not necessarily talking about like feelings in itself is this very general term. You're always experiencing feelings, right? So it's not necessarily that I was trying to feel like a rich person, although maybe this is I went into a relationship and I would notice that I would just feel great, mostly because of the relationship. I wasn't even thinking about money, but because you feel great, just life has this is why when you truly manifest, life is fully abundant in all aspects of life: money, health, relationships, everything that you want. It's not like you have to pick a specific niche. When you're abundant, you're abundant. So yeah, I was in this relationship. I was feeling amazing. Obviously I still had some goals. So I was visualizing some like sales in Shopify. This is another thing. I set up a Shopify store to sell things. And I was visualizing. What was I visualizing? I was visualizing hearing the sound of the Shopify go ka-ching. You know, when you make a sale on Shopify, it goes ka-ching, ka-ching. And so I'd visualize that sound, a very tangible thing. And I honestly relate this back to the feeling sense. The fact that I felt great in that relationship. Every day I would wake up feeling what? Feeling super grateful. And then I would hear the ka-chings. And then in real life, I would start hearing the ka-chings, ka-chings, ka-chings. Nothing really changed in terms of the way I was like approaching life in terms of trying to manipulate and move it. So again, that subtle magic that comes from that feeling, the space of gratitude. So anyways, I was able to literally manifest $1 million into the bank account before I was 30. So that's one thing. Another thing was relationships. So this is one thing. I had ended a couple of relationships. And then before COVID, I went to Hawaii with my family. And on the way back, obviously being single, this is actually one of the most powerful times I feel like manifestation can take place is after you've made a trip and you're in the airplane where you have time to reflect. It's a long flight. You've just had an amazing experience. I asked myself, I was like, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of beautiful women in my life. And I don't know why I was thinking, I was like, who is the most beautiful woman I've ever met? And then I had an idea. And then I was like, who is the next most beautiful woman I can meet? And so I sat there in meditation and contemplation on the plane. Sounds like a silly use of my time, but I was like, and I couldn't quite figure it out. Again, I was trying. I was like, how do I put a shape to a face of something that I don't know is the most beautiful thing yet? Right. So I was like, is it this person? Is it this person? Is it this person? And then I just like, okay, I can't figure it out. Little did you know, the next thing I turn on a movie on the plane, and it's this movie called Anna. This is beautiful actress called Sasha Luss, I think, or something like that. I was like, boom, that is the most beautiful person in the world that I've ever seen at that point. And then I go, wow, okay, interesting. So that was the intention part of things. And then back to the feeling. So literally 2 days later, I'm in the sauna at Y Yoga, not even thinking about that anymore. I'm just like doing my breathing, just feeling like fullness or whatever it is. And then boom, somebody walks into the sauna. And this person, not only does she look like Sasha Luss, she looks more beautiful than Sasha Luss. And then she ends up going to the yoga class. I go to the same class, and then we end up talking and going on a date. So this is, again, the weird way that manifestation can take place. And again, it's through that feeling sense of abundance, because through that you have everything you ever want.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Those amazing examples.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a daily practice. So I haven't done this in a while. I haven't really intentionally thought about what I want to manifest. And I think it's something that everybody should be doing more often, taking that time to reset back to baseline and setting their intention for what they want. Any last thoughts on this subject, manifestation, law of attraction?
Yeah, maybe it's like a little twist to this experience is that, I also got to tell you, like, in the last while, I have also not been in that space of like consciously trying to visualize or having a particular manifestation practice. And
when life gets too good, you get comfortable.
And it's true. Like
relatively good.
life is very beautiful, very good, and I feel like so much is happening in my inner world of evolution, of like really like new insights, new perspectives. Like I'm deeply interested right now in relationship dynamics and love growing in that area. And I don't feel like, I need something. Like, yeah, there's things that are working, like money's coming in, investments are growing, things like this. But I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I have some goals, but I don't sit there and I'm like, oh yeah, that goal. What is interesting to me now is manifesting qualities of character again. Is like, what would it be like for me to be infinitely patient in my relationship? Holy crap. That is way more exciting to me than like, oh yeah, I'm driving a new Tesla or a new this or whatever. So I also want to just say that there is a space where it's like, where values can get a little bit recontextualized when we feel like we have. There's no more of a sense like I want something more and different. There's a sense of I want to know the source of things. I want to know who and what I am and how is this and what are those qualities of like divinity? How can I bring those into manifestation? And there is a different kind of game altogether where you're like apprenticing under God and you're like, okay, I want to know who I am. So before we started the episode, I was sharing with you also, Mike, is like that shift from it's like, what do I want to who am I? And these seems like unrelated questions. But so wait a minute, what does it matter? No, it matters a lot, because if you know who you are, you know that you already have all things. You know through oneness that you are everyone and everything in this world. And what is it? You want to just hold something in your hand? Okay, you can have it. You can rent it. You can ask somebody to hold something. It's like the shift from I need to have a material form experience to I am so like devoted to knowing oneness in the mind of God. Like I want communion with the infinite creator. That shift kind of, I feel, changes our relationship to seeking things and experiences outwardly and more emphasizes this inner kingdom. And it's like, wow, well, because they say the kingdom of heaven is within. So it's like, wait, I want to know that versus having a new Tesla. So, but again, like all of this is just a natural evolution. I really do feel that we as human beings, it's not about judgment or shame or any kind of like levels of guilt or any of that. It is literally like a tree. We are all on the tree of life, the tree apples, the tree of life peoples, and each one of those people, they ripen at different stages, at different rates. Some get like really, really ripe. They're like right there near the sun. Some are a little bit dark and they're covered over and they take a longer time. So it's totally natural. And I really feel like the best thing is to go with the flow of our true experience and not try to force ourselves into a particular, oh no, I don't want Tesla, I want God. No, if you want Tesla, that is way more powerful for you to go after this than any kind of thing that you should want based on some kind of a external template.
That's beautiful. I love that, Boris. And yes, I'm on a similar path as well. It's like you can only acquire so many fruits in the different aspects of life before you realize there's a deeper search and a deeper practice to be moving towards every single day. So that perpetual state of union with God is the highest intention. So I love that. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Make sure you check out our previous episodes. We dive into so many amazing topics. I'm so glad to be sharing with you Boris. I think we've only been doing this for about like 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and we've already covered so much. So I can't wait till a year passes, 10 years, 15 years. What are we talking about?
That's amazing. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, brother. And thank you, everybody. So if you enjoyed this, please hit the like. Please share this with anybody who you feel can be inspired. Drop a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. What's your manifestation story? What are your questions? And let's continue to grow together.
Awesome. God bless everybody. Take care. Peace.